Welcome back, where we cut through the noise and bring you real advice to stay strong, sharp, and independent after 60. Let's get straight to it. If you're forgetting names, losing focus, or feeling mentally slower than you used to, your breakfast could be the reason. Yes, the foods you eat each morning might be quietly damaging your memory. Today we're talking with someone who has seen it all and lived through it. A doctor who's over 100 years old and still sharp as a tack, sharing his insights on the one breakfast food he believes is the most dangerous for our aging brains. Thank you for joining us, and let's dive right into this topic. Memory loss is something that touches every family and every aging mind. Too often we accept it as inevitable. We say, "Oh, that's just getting old." But that's not the full story. The truth is, the brain doesn't simply decay. It listens. It responds to stress, to sleep, to food, especially food. The signals we send it every morning are some of the most powerful. That's what we're discussing today. 3 silent memory killers that might be sitting on your breakfast table. And at the end of this conversation, I'll reveal the one food that's the most dangerous for the aging brain. When you eat, especially in the first hour after waking up, you're not just filling your stomach, you're feeding the neurons responsible for memory formation, recall, and emotional stability. The brain is incredibly sensitive right after fasting all night. It's looking for cues. Am I safe? Am I nourished? Am I supported? Or does it need to go into defense mode and conserve energy? The foods you choose, whether they're balanced or chaotic, rich in nutrients or filled with empty sugars, send messages to every part of the brain. If those messages are erratic, causing blood sugar spikes, inflammation, or depriving the brain of the critical nutrients it needs, that's when memory starts to slip. Not all at once, but gradually, silently. And over time, the damage adds up. It's a haunting thought that the brain is listening to us before we even realize we're speaking to it. And that's why this conversation is so important. We're not just talking about one bad breakfast. We're talking about a pattern, a quiet, daily signal telling the brain to dim the lights instead of keeping them on. So let me ask you, if the brain is responding, what exactly is going wrong inside? What's happening to our memory? And why does it start with what's on our plate each morning? What happens inside the brain when we send the wrong signals? That's an excellent question. Let's take a closer look at the brain because this is where the story truly begins. When you eat, especially within that critical first hour of waking up, you're not just filling your stomach, you're feeding the neurons in your brain that are responsible for memory formation, recall, and emotional stability. The brain is incredibly sensitive after a night of fasting. It's seeking signals. Am I safe? Am I nourished? Am I supported? Or does it need to go into defense mode and conserve energy? The foods you choose, whether they're balanced or chaotic, rich in nutrients or filled with empty sugars, send messages to every part of the brain. If those messages are erratic, causing blood sugar spikes, inflammation, or depriving the brain of the critical nutrients it needs, that's when memory starts to slip. Not all at once, but gradually, silently, and over time, the damage adds up. It's a haunting thought that the brain is listening to us before we even realize we're speaking to it. And that's why this conversation is so important. We're not just talking about one bad breakfast. We're talking about a pattern, a quiet, daily signal telling the brain to dim the lights instead of keeping them on. So let me ask you, if the brain is responding, what exactly is going wrong inside? What's happening to our memory? And why does it start with what's on our plate each morning? The first silent memory killer is white toast. It's not just the bread itself, but what it represents: simplicity, convenience, and speed. These values are the hidden cost of white toast. The real problem lies in the pattern. Many people repeat this cycle daily, starting their day with a slice of white toast, experiencing a crash, drinking a cup of coffee to push through, then crashing again by mid-morning. Then they grab a snack, often another refined carb, like crackers or a granola bar. The cycle repeats. Over time, this pattern trains the brain to operate in instability. And as you get older, this becomes more unforgiving. In Japan, we have a saying, How you rise is how you live. It means that your morning choices set the rhythm for everything that follows. Your energy, your decisions, even your emotional resilience. When you start your day with sugar and nothing else to ground it, you're asking your body to run on fumes. And as you age, that becomes harder and harder to overcome. A deeper look at the science. This isn't just theory. Science has measured how these foods affect memory and brain performance. A 2017 study published in the journal Appetite focused on breakfast composition in older adults and its effect on cognitive performance. The results were clear. Those who consumed high glycemic meals like white bread or sugary cereals showed significantly worse memory recall and verbal fluency just 2 hours later compared to those who ate low glycemic meals with protein and healthy fats. That's a clear sign that breakfast isn't just about getting calories. It's about sending the right message to your brain. And when you eat the wrong kind of food, you're sending a message that says, I'm not ready to focus, I'm not ready to perform. The second silent memory killer, fruit juice. Now, let's move on to another breakfast staple that many people believe is healthy, fruit juice. It's marketed as fresh, clean, and healthy. For decades, a glass of orange juice in the morning has been seen as the go-to for a vitamin boost. But for the aging brain, this ritual comes with a dangerous cost. Even when labeled 100% pure and fresh, fruit juice is essentially liquid sugar. A single glass of orange juice contains the sugar of 4 or 5 whole oranges, but none of the fiber that was meant to slow down that sugar. Without fiber, the glucose hits your bloodstream like a flood. And when this happens first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, the brain receives it as chaos. You might experience a quick blood sugar rise, but just like with white toast, the crash comes fast. That drop in blood sugar doesn't feel like sleepiness. It feels like confusion. You sit down at your desk and forget what task you opened your laptop for. You stare at your phone, but your mind feels blank. It's not just a mental fog. It's a disconnect from your own thoughts and rhythm. The danger of liquid sugar. This is the hidden danger of fruit juice. It feels healthy, but in reality, it's causing more harm than most people realize. Juice is often sold as something light, clean, and even smart. But what it does inside your brain is far from beneficial, especially for those over 60. As insulin sensitivity declines with age, the glucose hit from fruit juice becomes harder for the body to manage. The brain doesn't just experience the sugar, it experiences the crash, the stress response, and often a surge in cortisol, which keeps you feeling foggy and disconnected for hours. In Japan, elders still consume citrus, but never like this. We eat a mandarin orange slowly with green tea after a meal. We don't squeeze it, strip it, and drink it in isolation. We understand that food must be consumed in context, with balance, with timing, and with respect for the body's pace. Science behind fruit juice's impact on the brain. A 2020 study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults with higher dietary sugar intake, particularly from fruit juices, showed significantly worse performance in memory and attention tasks. The study revealed that sugar from beverages had a stronger negative effect than sugar from whole fruits or desserts. That's because liquid sugar bypasses the body's natural checks, causing an immediate spike in glucose without the usual buffer that fiber provides. It's not the fruit itself that's the issue, it's the way we consume it. The speed, the concentration, and the loss of fiber turn something nourishing into something destabilizing. And like toast, fruit juice becomes a part of a pattern. A glass of juice, a quick burst of clarity, followed by the inevitable fog, then a cup of coffee to push through. And then another energy dip by mid-morning. Day after day, this repetition chips away at the brain's ability to regulate itself. The third silent memory killer, packaged breakfast cereal. And now, let's get into the last breakfast food we need to talk about, packaged breakfast cereal. And I'm not just talking about the brightly colored cereals marketed to children. I'm talking about the cereals labeled healthy, the ones with whole grains or fortified with vitamins. These cereals are the most dangerous because they pretend to be your friend. They are marketed as wellness, but inside your body, they act like poison. Most of these cereals are made with refined grains. They may start with oats or wheat, but they are pulverized, extruded, and reshaped into flakes or puffs. In this process, the natural fibers are destroyed. Then sugar is added, sometimes in 4 or 5 different forms, along with stabilizers, oils, and synthetic vitamins to make them seem nutritious again. When you pour a bowl of cereal, even if it says multigrain, you're starting your day with 25 to 30 grams of rapidly absorbed sugar and starch. That's more than some desserts. And it's hitting your bloodstream at the most sensitive time of the day. What's worse, it feels like the safe option. I can't tell you how many patients I've spoken to who start their morning with cereal thinking they're doing everything right. They don't see the brain fog that comes after as connected. They blame age, their medications, or poor sleep, but they don't connect it to the cereal they ate just an hour earlier. The impact on cognitive function. That glucose rush hits hard. The brain gets overstimulated, insulin tries to clean up the sugar, but the crash comes fast, often by 9:30 or 10 a.m. That crash feels like fatigue, but also like forgetfulness. It's like staring at your calendar and not remembering the appointment you made yesterday, or rereading the same paragraph 3 times because you can't retain it. It's a familiar picture, and honestly, it's a little scary, especially because it's hidden under the guise of being healthy. But what science has shown us is that frequent consumption of processed breakfast cereals, particularly those with a high glycemic load, is strongly associated with faster memory decline. In fact, a 2018 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that this correlation remained even after adjusting for factors like lifestyle, exercise, and sleep.
Final thoughts. So what does this all mean? Memory loss after 60 isn't just about aging. It's about the signals we send every single morning. Every meal you eat sends a message to your brain. When you start your day with the wrong foods that spike your blood sugar and cause instability, you're setting your brain up for failure. But here's the good news. Once you recognize what's happening, you can start making better choices. Your brain is listening, and it can respond positively to the right messages. Call to action. So what can you do tomorrow morning to protect your brain? Start with a calm, balanced breakfast, one that nourishes your brain with steady energy. Choose protein, healthy fats, and low glycemic carbs. By doing so, you're sending a message of stability and strength to your brain. It will remember how to trust you again. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about taking small steps toward better choices. Start tomorrow.